YouTube? So I'm back with another video. If you're new to my channel, thank you for tuning in for the first time, and if you're back, welcome back. Before we get started, make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you turn on your post notification bell so that way you can be notified every single time that I post and I can continue to bring you more content. In today's video, I'm catching y'all up on what I've been up to for the past month of April, because I know y'all noticed I kind of went a little MIA, but it was for a good reason, and that's because I was in Bsep. And Bsep is a class that is offered by the Army to active duty soldiers, and I'm going to break that down a little bit more towards the end of the video. I'm going to talk about what Bsep is, my experience with Bsep, how I studied during Bsep, and how I came out with a GT score of a 138 and an overall Asvab score of a 98. Because of what I was able to learn in that class and some tips and tricks that we were given as students, I want to bring those same tools to you guys to help you prepare well for the Asvab, because if you want to be able to be eligible for any branch and eligible for any job in those branches, you need to have a good Asvab score. So, getting started, what is the Asvab? Well, the Asvab is the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery Test, and it is an aptitude test that measures developed abilities and helps predict future academic and occupational success. So, honestly, they just want to test what information that you have retained so far, and it lets them know how well you could potentially do in the future. And they want to make sure that you got at least a little bit of common sense, a little bit of book sense, that they know that they can accept you and you won't be a complete dumbass, basically. Each branch has their own scores that you have to meet. But if you're watching this, I know you can far exceed the minimum score, y'all. So we're not going to even focus on the minimum score. So what are you going down to the MEP station and testing on in the first place? Well, there are 9 subjects, and that is arithmetic reasoning, word knowledge, paragraph comprehension, math knowledge, general science, electronics information, auto information, shop information, mechanical comprehension, and assembling objects. Now, out of all of these 9 subjects, it is 4 of them that is the most important, because those are your AFQT scores. Those are the 4 scores that make up the minimum score. The AFQT portion, which is the arithmetic reasoning, word knowledge, paragraph comprehension, and math knowledge, will be the main subjects you need to make sure that you are focused on. The other subjects are icing on the cake, and it's good if you are interested in something in those fields. Now, I know you're wondering, KP, I am not good at those other subjects like the mechanical, electronics, auto, and shop. So I'm going to just talk to you about why you don't have to focus on those subjects and why you need to focus on these main 4 subjects. So when it comes to putting these 9 subjects together, that is what creates your composite scores or your line scores. And those are the scores that you literally see lined up next to each of the branches listed on the sheet of paper you get once you complete the Asvab. And that is what your recruiter is looking at to allow you to get placed in certain fields or certain MOSs. This is an example of what I mean. This is what I scored in every section, and that means that I am qualified for every job that I want, specifically in the Army, and each of those line scores is computed using the different subjects. So let's look at an example. When it comes to your GT portion, which is the most important, and what Bsep focuses on, is your verbal expression, which is the verbal knowledge and reading comprehension put together, plus the arithmetic reasoning. Or we can get into the ST, the skilled technical portion, which is general science, verbal expression, mathematics knowledge, and mechanical comprehension. And that's what allows you to get into medical jobs, because most medical jobs require at least 100 GT score and a 101 ST score. You can't be an officer without having a minimum 110 GT score. To even do infantry, you need at least an 87 CO score, and a CO is the combat score, arithmetic reasoning, coding, speed, auto and shop information, and mechanical comprehension. But I want to go ahead and just slip some Asvab studying tips right on in that I know you could do right now if you want to just hear a little bit more Asvab stuff without knowing about the Bsep stuff. So let's get into it. Number one tip, y'all, I can give you for the Asvab is to study as much as you can, y'all. You gotta make time for it. Curve out time at the end of the day, in the morning, whenever you get free time, to look at these subjects, look at the resources that I'm going to give you in one of the tips. Number two tip, focus on the important subjects that you need. If you don't want to be a mechanic, do not focus on the mechanical subject. Don't focus on auto and shop. It's not important. If you want to be an officer, focus on your AFQT test. You gotta study your word knowledge. You gotta study your paragraph comprehension. You gotta study your arithmetic reasoning. Now, I do want to say your verbal expression holds the most weight. That is a tip that we learned in Bsep, because knowing your words, y'all, and you'll hear that over and over again in Bsep, know your words, because they are doubled. So you can literally only get a half of the arithmetic reasoning portion right, but if you get all your words right, you're literally gonna get way higher than a 110 GT score. The number third tip, y'all, is I want you to get these resources, because these resources I was given is going to help you. And the first one is you need to download the Asvab test on your phone, because you can use this app when you're in the bathroom about to take a shower, when you're on the toilet, when you're running through the mall, when you're in a car on the way somewhere. You could just literally pop this open and it notifies you every day, letting you know, hey, it's time to do a little studying, and it asks you different questions. So the Asvab test app looks like this, and you click on it, and then it'll bring you to the 9 subjects that you will be testing on. And as you can see, you have all of them listed here, and you can go to any one of them, which I'm going to go ahead and choose the word knowledge just as an example. And it gives you the context clues, word knowledge question, and obtain most nearly means acquire. And it actually gives you an option to look at the explanation, so that way you can also study it. The second one will be readtheory.org. The third one is the math page. The fourth resource is Dantes.Peterson's. The fifth one is multiplication in the timestables.com. And the last resource I'm going to give you is to Google as many online practice Asvab tests as you can find. And a lot of those questions that you'll be given on those practice ones will come up again on the real one. My fourth tip is to let your recruiter know when you feel adequately prepared. And my fifth tip is to learn how to take a test. There are a lot of tips out there online that gives you things you need to know about taking a test, and sometimes not even having to know how to think about what the question is asking you. You just kind of know how to use the process of elimination to get to the answer. And I'm going to give you some more information that I learned about that when I talk about the Bsep portion. So y'all, let's get into Bsep. I know y'all keep hearing me talk about Bsep. So what is Bsep? Well, Bsep is the Commander's Primary On-Duty Education Program, and is a refresher course covering both math and English that soldiers take to help raise their GT scores when retested on the Armed Forces Classification Test. So that's actually something that I did not bring up at the beginning of the video. Civilians, you take the Asvab when you become a part of the military, a part of the army. You take the AFCT, not the ACFT, but the AFCT, and that is the same test, but now you take it as an active duty soldier. And basically, this course is taken by soldiers that wish to raise their GT score, like myself, or they're wishing to reclass and they want to go medical, or they want to go special forces, or they want to go to flight training schools. So number one is to notify your leadership well in advance. I didn't want anybody to tell me they had any reasons why I couldn't go to Bsep, because I told you well in advance. I told you when I was interested in going, and nothing on the calendar should be out yet. So if they tell you can't go 6 months out, they damn near lying to you, okay? You know they lying. So make sure you let them know well ahead of time, so they can't have excuses as to why you cannot go to Bsep. Number two is to go to your education center here at Fort Bragg, that is J-Wing, and let them know you're interested in enrolling, and they're going to give you a pamphlet. So this is the pamphlet that I was given at the education center. And as you can see, it has a whole rundown on all the days. It has morning class, afternoon class, and evening class. And it has all of the instructions of what I needed to do. So once you figure out which class you want to go to, then they're going to send you the instructions, and you have to send up a DA 4187 to your commander. And your commander has to sign this personnel action request stating that you are allowed to attend Bsep. And they'll put their initials, and you'll bring this form, you'll send it back to the education center, and then that will solidify your spot, or that will ensure you have a spot in the class. Then the final step is you will begin on the 1st of the month, and your last day of class will be the last day of the end of the month. Alright, so let's get started with day 1 of Bsep, right? Because this is the day that they're going to give you a lot of information, and that's where you'll be introduced to your instructors. You'll know what class schedule you'll be on. They'll give you the important tests, with the one being the pre-tape test, which is a test for adult basic education. That is an important test because that is like a placement test. That lets them know where you are right now and how much they need to teach you, and you'll take that test immediately. Like we took that day 2 of Bsep. And then they'll tell you, once you get done taking the pre-tape test, at the end of the course, right before you take the AFQT, you'll take a post-tape test, and that'll let them know how you did at the end of the test once you've learned everything. The last thing we did was take a math assessment, so it allowed them to see if you needed to be in a slow-paced math class or a fast-paced math class. And that's what's going to bring me into the schedule of Bsep. So the first thing I did was go to study hall in the morning time. As soon as I arrived, they'll let you know the study hall is for you to do any work that you need to catch up on, for you to use a computer to do some reading, to use read theory, like I told you, a resource, to take some vocab quizzes, catch up on some of the math worksheets. And at the end of study hall, the teacher that was in there, she would come up and do some type of review about anything that we need to know that goes towards the test. In English class, which is my second class of the day, that's where the instructor gave us 192 words. Y'all, I'm not lying. I had 192 words that I had to study and know by the end of the month. And you will know them because they will drill it. They will drill it in you, y'all. And in math, y'all, you will be given this big old booklet, and that's literally all of the things that you'll be going over. So number 1, y'all, please take advantage of the memo that they will give you to stay behind and study and ask questions. You would have not even expected I would have came out with the score that I did by how much I stayed behind. You would have thought that I was probably one of the slower ones, but it wasn't that, y'all. It was because I was taking advantage of the time that I had, and I knew I only had a month. Number 2, y'all, is to not leave a worksheet out and to do every quiz, because this repetition will help you. They give you room and space to do it on your own, so it's not that, oh, you're being made to do it. No, they're like, hey, look, we got some worksheets at the front. Hey, we got a vocab quiz at the front you can take, and it's up to you to go up there and get those things to come back and study. Number 3, when it comes to the words, create a Quizlet. You will also be told that in Bsep. Quite honestly, y'all, if you don't already have an expansive vocabulary, then you will have to learn by repetition. So you just need to learn the words that's going to be in front of you. And when I tell you the words that they gave us were on the test, like it was not one word that was on the test that they did not give us, because they said that they have done it so many years that they know the words that are going to show up. Now, if you're watching this and you're an Asvab, you just need to download dictionary.com and do the word of the day. You need to, in the meantime, be reading some more. You need to be Googling what words mean some more when you hear them on TV, when you hear somebody say them. You need to take advantage of learning and just expanding your vocabulary, because that's how you're going to recognize words when you see them. Number 4 is, like I said, I went to Starbucks, I went to Barnes & Noble, I went wherever I needed to go to get in my zone and really get focused on what I'm doing. And the last way I studied, y'all, is I just focus on Bsep for April, y'all. As much as I wanted to come back with some YouTube videos, as much as I wanted to start back focusing on getting promoted, that was my priority right now. I mean, it's only a month, y'all, and your NCOs will live if you say, hey, I need this time to just focus on this. So now, once you keep going through the motions of going to study hall every day, going to math class, going to English class, you will have to take your test at the end of the month, which is going to be all in 1 week, y'all. You're going to have 2 practice GT tests, and you got to take your post-tape test, and then you have to test for the AFQT. And when everybody gets done taking the test, you're going to see everybody waiting around to get their unofficial score. So that was Bsep, like, to a T, y'all. It was very simple. It was very quick. I love Bsep, honestly, y'all. Like, that was exactly what I needed because I already know how to study. You know, it's just a little thing. It's just little things that you like hearing from professionals that really help you to truly grasp it. Let's get into the tips that's going to help you to do well in each of the AFQT subjects. So when it comes to the math section, y'all, the number one thing I know you probably heard before, which is not new, is to use your answer choices. A lot of time can be saved by you just plugging in the answer choices and using process of elimination. Say for instance, you have a shirt and the shirt costs $30 and they ask you to find the cost of a shirt if it is 40% off. You know $15 is half of 30, so that makes it 50%. So if you have answer choices that are a little bit under $15, you know that's the answer. You don't have to go all the way through and do 30 times 0.40. The main thing they told us when it came to the arithmetic portion, y'all, is you're either adding or subtracting, multiplying or dividing. The question can't ask you to do anything but those. Number 3, y'all, is know your standard conversions when it comes to gallons. And gallons have 4 quarts. Then it has 8 pints. And it has 16 cups. Time is 60 seconds and 1 minute. It's 60 minutes and 1 hour. 24 hours in 1 day. 7 days in 1 week. 365 days in 1 year. 52 weeks in 1 year. It's 16 ounces in 1 pound. 2,000 albs in 1 ton, 8 quarts in 1 peg. When it comes to length, it's 12 inches in 1 foot, 36 inches in 1 yard, 3 feet in 1 yard, 5,280 feet in 1 mile. Number 4 is know your multiplication table. You got to know that stuff quickly so you can get through the questions quickly so you can beat the time. You got to know how to do long division. I know that even me doing it when I stop for too long, I can't really remember where to carry the 1 to, how to carry to make it a decimal. You got to know long division, y'all. Number 5, y'all, is to know your formulas. You know, when it comes to simple interest, you got to know the formula is I equals PRT. When it comes to finding the distance, that's rate times time, or distance divided by rate, or distance divided by time. When it comes to area, you got to know how to find the area of a triangle. Half times base times height. When it comes to finding the area of a square, it's length times width. When it comes to circles, you got to know the area is pi r square. Square feet is area and cubic inches is volume. You got to know how to find a percentage with part over whole equals percentage over 100. Look up the main basic formulas and study them, y'all, because they will be used again. The verbal tips I got for you is number 1 is to use the Quizlet to learn your words by repetition. Number 2, if they give you 2 similar answer choices, then neither one of them are probably correct. Like I said, number 3 is to download dictionary and use the 1 word of the day. Number 4 is learn your parts of speech. Know what makes an adjective an adjective. Know what makes a noun a noun. Know what makes a verb. That literally helps narrow down a lot of the answer choices. Number 5, it goes kind of along with number 4 by knowing your parts of speech. Know your root words, know your prefixes, know your suffixes. Number 6 is identify what a word means using context clues. If you know that you don't have a clue what this word means, interpret based on the paragraph itself. Let's get into some reading tips now. Make sure you go on readtheory.org, y'all. That's something they preach to us because it's going to place you at a reading level. And by the time you get to the end of the reading sections, it'll get you up to where you need to be. And it's going to ask you the same type of questions that you will be asked on the reading portion of the actual Asvab. They ask them the exact same way. Number 2 is to know how to dissect the paragraph by knowing your main idea, which we know the main idea can be found in the first sentence, it can be found in the last sentence, or sometimes it can be found in the middle sentence. Know what a supporting detail is. You know, a supporting detail helps you to realize what the main idea is because it keeps giving you examples and points back to the main idea of the paragraph. And that's gonna roll me right into knowing how to infer what the paragraph is asking you. Sometimes on the test you might get asked to infer the main idea because it's not stated, so they want you to imply. So you have to take what the paragraph is saying and draw conclusions, use the supporting details, and help figure out what are they telling me is the main idea or the main subject or the main thing that they want me to know about this paragraph. They might ask you to paraphrase. Just read the paragraph and in your own words, what do you think the author is saying? And what answer choice closely resembles that? Also, it might ask you the tone of the paragraph. They might ask you, is the author sad? Is the author mad? Is the author happy? What is the author trying to convey? Like what type of feeling is the author trying to give off about what they're saying in this paragraph? And they might ask you to draw conclusions about what might be the next step of the paragraph. They might say, okay, as you can see, the author is so against or so for pollution in the world. So what might be a subject that the author might talk about next? You know, they might talk about the greenhouse effect. Could be an answer choice, you know. The third tip about reading is knowing that absolute answers are never correct. So if it says always, only, all, none, more than likely that's not the answer, y'all, because that's only opinion and that's not a fact. The most paragraph comprehension sections want you to say something that is clearly stated in the paragraph, unless they're specifically saying to you to draw a conclusion. And my last tip for reading, if you consider yourself a slow reader, that's where it comes in, where you've heard over and over again, is to read what the question is asking you first, then go back and read the paragraph, so that way you can get through the section faster, because you already can pick out, oh, that's what the question just asked me and I remember this, so I can go back and answer it. And just some last overall tips I want to give y'all before I end the video is to just do research on YouTube. Get familiar with the basic level of knowledge with each subject. Like I said with math, it's just the main formulas that you need to know, and you just need to know how to add, subtract, divide, and multiply. When it comes to just knowing basic levels of general science, electronic information, auto shop information, y'all, know the basics, because that's all the test is going to ask you. It's basic level information. So if you just take your time out to find information online, watch videos about the main things you need to know about those subjects, I guarantee you will know how to get to the answer on the real test. So that's all for this video. I know I started talking fast, y'all, because I'm gonna be quite honest, it took me a long time to get through this video because I kept having to start over. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get through this video today. So if you like this video, make sure you like it. If you have any more questions, make sure you leave your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you reach out to me on my social media. On Instagram, it is kyonnap_, and on Snapchat, it is just kyonnap. And make sure you stay tuned for the next video.